story which keeps cropping up over the past couple of weeks. It's the continuing controversy around the hit novel The Salt Path, the supposed real-life story of Raynor and Winn. It's a typical triumph over adversity story and was recently made into a film with Gillian Anderson and Jason Isaacs. However, there has since been allegations about how true the story actually is, which they deny. And you've read the book, actually, Janet, haven't you? But yeah. It is an interesting story because it's very much based around this British couple. They're in their 50s. They decide to walk hundreds of miles. They've lost their home. And the husband, Moth, he has been... it's like a degenerative disease he was diagnosed with. So things are tough suddenly in their life, and they go on this massive walk and it sort of manages to turn their life around. Yeah. But suddenly now people are stepping out of the woodwork and kind of going, I'm not quite sure that's all factually correct. Yeah. But of course, the authors have come out now. They're clearly very deeply saddened by all of these allegations. And Raynor Winn, the writer, has said the most heartbreaking suggestion is that Moth had made up his illness completely. This is utterly vile, unfair, and a false suggestion. And it has emotionally devastated Moth, who has fought so hard against this insidious condition. So clearly it's ongoing. The movie has been made. It captured a huge audience. Where do you stand with it, Janet, having read the book?
I don't
or
care
does it
whether
really
the
matter
movie's...
about the details?
Well, I don't care whether the movie's true or not true. It's got two great actors in it. I couldn't care less. If it's a good film, it's a good film. Isn't that? Does that sound really, really cruel?
Well, no, but interestingly, all three of you have written...
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to sit in the audience for a minute. I'm quite enjoying this show. It's good.
Now's your chance. I'm going to talk about your book. You've written books, and you've written books about yourselves and your lives. So where do you stand on... Look, you'll have a memory of an instance, but someone else might say, but it didn't quite happen like that.
No,
so where does the truth lie?
Well, you're always going to have people who are going to have a different take on what you see as your story. But for me, when I wrote autobiographies, for me, if I'm going to write about my life, I can't just write about all the good bits. You have to include all the bad bits and the bits that you did wrong and the people you may have hurt. Otherwise, the whole book's a lie. But also, when I was writing it, there was people coming along thinking, I think you should say this, because this will get you really good coverage and you might get more money. And they were lies, really bad lies. And only because, I don't know, it must be the Catholic guilt in me or something, but I was like, oh, my God, I couldn't live with that lie, because that'll be the thing that they interview me about, and I'll have to lie constantly.
Yeah.
And also it would
the
be a lie.
So you.
It does, yeah. And I thought, I can't do that. But was there moments in the book that then my sisters wrote an autobiography and they had a different take on things, and you have to accept that that's their take on it. But as far as I'm concerned, the books that I wrote were 100%, and some of it was hard to write because you feel ashamed at some of it and you think, oh, people are going to hate me about this. But I thought, it's my life. If I'm going to put it out there and expect people to buy it, I have to tell them the truth.
I think
Otherwise,
if a book is self-help, I think that has got to be honest, because that does lead people to take maybe certain actions. However, I think when it comes to stories, it's a bit like listening to the radio. Some people say, well, the pictures are the best on the radio, because you make up your own mind what that looks like, what the story's like, what the characters are like. And I do think that as the years go on, you start embellishing stories a bit. You know, if a story goes down quite well, you're sitting around the fire with relatives or so on, and it gets a bit of a laugh or a bit of a reaction, you sort of embellish it just a little bit more. But you see, you're right, actually, Colleen, in terms of outside influence as well, because sometimes publishers will say, well, if you sort of just strengthen that story and make that a bit juicier or make it really sort of, oh, wow, I didn't know that, that'll sell books. And Janet, you see, her memoir is being republished. Excuse me.
Yeah, she's doing a plug for me.
Is it all true?
Yes. The first two volumes, my first two autobiographies are being republished on the 28th of August. So all your copies now. And I've written new chapters. I've written, so the first book about my mother, which we didn't get on, and the book is about our terrible, terrible relationship. And, yeah, I can hear what Colleen's saying, that, yeah, you have to write things that are a bit unpleasant and you don't come out of it well. But if you write it with 100% it's not just this corny word, my truth. You mean it. It's coming from the heart. Then people reading it relate to it. And after writing the book about my mother, baggage, lots and lots of women wrote to me and said, yeah, I didn't get on with my mother, and now you've made me feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah.
So I don't think... I think none of us are going to own up to embellishing our stories any more than is just normal.
Poetic license is known as, yes.
But interestingly, like, we're talking about the Salt Path, and I actually hadn't read the book, I hadn't seen the movie, I knew very little about the story. I know more now since all of this has erupted, so I wonder whether people are just buying more books.
But I watch Jason Isaacs walk round a roundabout.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. It doesn't even matter about the content, does it, Janet?
Yeah,
You're happy.
Exactly.